In a moment, stagnation in Russia's economy and growing wage arrears. First, how close are we to a peace deal on Ukraine? Not very, judging by this opinion piece in Moskovsky Komsomolets reacting to the Berlin talks. European proposals are being passed off to us as the parameters of a settlement, one that would include constant military support for Ukraine, an 800,000-strong Ukrainian peacetime army, the formation of a multinational force under the leadership of Europe. All these proposals are not just unacceptable for Russia. What kind of demilitarization of Ukraine is this, for example, if its army will be 3 times larger than before the special military operation, Russia's war in Ukraine? In effect, we're talking here about the escalation of the conflict and the direct entry of NATO forces from among the coalition of the willing. The writer criticises suggestions that President Zelensky has compromised by allegedly giving up on NATO membership. Well, no one was about to let him in anyway. They just fed him with promises and slogans. Just a moment. Don't those 2 lines completely undermine Russia's argument throughout the war? I mean, if Russia really believes that there was no chance of Ukraine receiving NATO membership all along, what have the last 4 years been about? Arguments and Facts is still talking about America's new national security strategy, which is more critical of the EU than of Moscow. Judging by what political scientist Dmitry Suslov writes here, Moscow welcomes the prospect of frostier relations between America and Europe. For Russia, it's very important that the Trump administration is parting with the Atlanticist tradition in its foreign policy. For the last 80 years, Atlanticism, the idea of Europe as chief regional priority and ally, was at the very heart of American foreign policy. It was one of the root causes of systemic hostility between Russia and the US. And now, the basis for systemic confrontation between our countries is disappearing. Now, Russia's hostility is directed at the EU and at countries like Germany. Just listen to what Komsomolskaya Pravda says this morning. Germany has become the main anti-Russian engine in Europe. It's not for nothing that at the start of the week, Zelensky flew to Berlin for talks with the Europeans and the Americans. Chancellor Merz is described here as the descendant of Nazis. He dreams of military revenge. Extraordinary language. Meanwhile, in economic news, Nezavisima Gazeta reports that consumer spending continues to slow and blames the government's policy of controlled economic cooling. For citizens, this policy has led to a slight slowdown in price rises, but at the same time, hundreds of thousands of Russians lost the opportunity to buy housing and a car, suffered a loss in income and growing non-payment of salaries. Wage arrears are increasing by more than 10% each month. Izvestia today warns of the risk of economic stagnation in 2026. It's the same in Kommersant. Weak production trends, a slowdown in consumption, and the weakening of the contribution of key industries to economic performance indicate a possible transition of the Russian economy to stagnation. RBK. Steel production in Russia in 2025 is expected to fall by almost 20%, and domestic consumption will drop to its lowest level since 2011. The industry will need 5 to 7 years to return to pre-crisis levels.